This episode of Southeast Iowa Today is brought to you by Griner Auto Body of Washington, Iowa, using state-of-the-art techniques and decades of experience to get your car back on the road after an accident. Car Doctor of Washington, Iowa. No matter who Frankensteined it, they can fix it, clean it, and customize it. McDonald Boneyard of Keota, Iowa, for all your farm equipment and auto recycling needs. For great food, it's your choice. Your Choice Family Restaurant of Wayland, Iowa. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Come to our cruise-ins this summer on the second Tuesday of the month, June through September. Girling Repair of Winfield, Iowa. If your mower is dead, call Fred, your Husqvarna, Aaron's, and Gravely dealer. Fred also fixes and sells snowblowers. B&B Propane and the family of Jet Stops. Dutch Market and Coffee Talk of Washington, Iowa. Dutch Market can handle all of your grocery needs. They even have a conference room you can use for free. Coffee Talk's drive-thru is open and ready to serve you coffee, energy drinks, sandwiches, baked goods, and ice cream. They all present you the award-winning Southeast Iowa Today. Here's the author of Christie's Journey, The Beat Goes On, and your host, John Bain.
Thank you, announcer Cody Roy of NewEnglandDukes.com for your golden pipes and wonderful introduction. It is Tuesday, May 6th. I'm out front of the Washington County, Iowa courthouse, and I'm going to go inside and talk to Tammy Stewart. She's the Washington County Auditor. I've had a lot of questions since the district court decision regarding the Highland School $15 million bond referendum, and I thought, I would like to talk to Tammy. I reached out to her, and she was gracious and invited me to come, and here's our conversation. Tammy, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I stopped by, today is Tuesday, May 6th, and I happened to stop by this past Friday, and you were out, and I had sent you an email, and you so graciously responded to that and gave me a lot of information, and I was like, wow, that'd be cool to have on a podcast. And you even said in the email that if I just wanted to share it with my audience, I could do that. And I'm like, well, I'd love for you to be on the show. Okay. And here we are on May 6th and Tuesday, and we're talking about this whole Highland School Board $15 million bond referendum, November 5th, 2024 election controversy. And here you are, 4 months, just newly elected yourself into the auditor position, and we're talking about something that happened when you were on a ballot as well.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, it just came. Judge Michael Carpenter, District Court Judge Michael Carpenter, just ruled on the District Court decision and decided that, hey, the bond referendum can go through, and the reason was that although the challengers had some valid points, they didn't meet a criteria of the process, and that was to have the voters listed that may have possibly voted wrong.
Correct.
Can you kind of steer us through this thing?
It's kind of a tricky subject. When we say that the voters were counted wrong, or I'm not sure where to start, really. They were all legal voters. They all cast legal votes on legal ballots. Unfortunately, some were handed the wrong ballot when they were distributed, some being in Waco School District, some being in Highland School District. So that's kind of where the error happened. None of those voters, though, were actually contested or challenged at the poll. And because of that, because their ballots were properly cast, I'm going to say, no illegalities of it. They go into the tabulator, those votes are cast. Had somebody challenged those voters or asked them to vote provisional, which generally means they need to provide more information, then we would have the names of those people because we would have to review them. In this case, there's absolutely no way for the county to have a list of any of these names of the voters that might have been affected.
So I've done, and the folks that watch the podcast on a regular basis know I've done several podcasts on this topic, one with Ron Griner, one with Marcus Fedler. The first contest court,
Mhm.
the district court, interview with Ron afterwards. And Ron's biggest concern through this whole thing, and he said it a lot of times, is election integrity.
Right.
And the day that he was there at the precinct voting location in Ainsworth, he discovered around 8:30 in the morning or so that, hey, my coworker, who is a Waco uh, taxpayer, just got the same ballot I have, which has the Highland School
Right.
District. Pointed it out before he left to one of the poll workers, and in court this would be hearsay, but she said
Right.
that, according to Ron, she said that there's no problem, nothing to worry about.
Right. Unfortunately, and I'm not blaming a poll worker. They do the best they can on those days, and they're very busy days for them. But had we known at that point in the day, none of this issue would have happened. We would have had just a very few ballots get to the wrong people by that point that would not have made any difference. And that's not to say that Ron Greiner should have called us. It's not to say, well, the poll worker probably out of anybody should have alerted the office, but for whatever reason, we weren't made aware until early in the afternoon. But that could have alleviated this entire issue.
Right, just like that.
Right.
So there was a different county auditor than there is now.
Mhm.
You're now the county auditor. I'm sure elections will be coming up
Come November.
November. What is Tammy Stewart's plan to help make sure things like this don't happen again?
And I don't know that there's really much that Dan, the previous auditor, could have done differently,
Okay.
other than we really need to reiterate with our poll workers when there are two ballot styles, just to make sure. Nothing is foolproof, though. It's
Right.
not going to prevent somebody from making an error and having the same thing. We hope it doesn't. It is something that unfortunately has happened in other counties across the state at different times. And all we can do is, as soon as we find out, do the best to efficiently take care of the problem.
Now, my son, who resides in Scott County, was a poll watcher for the Republican Party for his actual
Okay.
polling district. And they had a problem that day where they didn't have proper ballots. And he's like picked up on it right away there as a poll watcher. And they had a setup in that district where they could vote online as well.
Okay.
So he forced the election officials to stop with the paper ballots until they got the right paper
Okay.
ballots there, and then allowed people, if they didn't want to wait, they could vote online.
Okay.
So they had a huge line in both things
Mhm.
for a few minutes, but it stopped the problem. Does Washington County have anything like that?
We don't do anything online with the voting. Just one, for safety's sake. There's a lot more precautions that have to go into place. Obviously, a larger county's got more resources to have those in place, and we really don't have the means to have online voting.
Okay. Now, another question: if this was district court judge decision were to be appealed and taken to the Iowa Supreme Court, would there be a way to get the names of the people that 95, 6, or
No.
70?
There is absolutely no way we can go back and tell who those people are. It's physically not possible.
Gotcha. Well, to me, and I don't have a dog in the fight because I don't live in that district. It troubles me that the Iowa code, and I'm going back to a conversation I had with Dan Widmer in this very room on December 31st, 2024, his last day before he retired, and our last day of 2024. But he said it's in Iowa code, on these rules and
Right.
such. So I'm thinking, well, the part about having to provide the names of the voters, how does a citizen ever, if they do want to do this, how do they actually have the proper dog in the fight and the tools?
I think part of the difference there is during the district court proceedings last month, they kept bringing up illegal voters. Those would be those voters who would be challenged, and it's a difference in terminology. But when you read code, it means extremely different things on the ramifications and how you correct it. If they were in fact illegal voters, we would have their information that we would have researched to validate them. since they were not deemed illegal voters, it's a straightforward anonymous vote like anybody else.
Okay.
So I think the code being interpreted is using the terms illegal or incorrect rather than going on the error of what happened.
I see. Now, in your email that you and I both have a copy of, you had mentioned a few different things about the undervotes during the election, the 26, and as opposed to the 96 that when it became 70 and all of that. Can you explain that?
Sure. The 26 undervotes, those are 26 voters throughout the entire day at the Ainsworth precinct who did not vote on the public measure. So they filled in no oval one way or the other. During the court proceeding, it was estimated, I guess, that by the contestants that if those 26 voters that did not vote on it came out of that pool of 96 incorrect, see, there I go using the term incorrect, but voters that received the wrong ballot, that would bring that number down to 70 potential issues on the ballot. But those 26 undervotes were throughout the entire day. We have no way of knowing if they were from the 96 in question or who they were from.
And what makes them an undervote?
So in this aspect, on the ballot would say vote for no more than one.
Okay.
They voted for none. So they undervoted on that issue.
Okay.
Now, had they filled in two ovals, it would come back as an overvote because you could only vote for one.
Okay. So people that live in Ainsworth that voted there that day, and this was a decision based on the contest court the first time around, basically the contest court ruled we're just not going to count those votes on this issue.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
The way, and I'm going to paraphrase code because I don't have it in front of me. When a contest happens like this, if we can disregard, and that's an if we disregard, in this case, all of the Ainsworth Highland School District votes, and it does not change the total outcome, then the election stands as valid. So in this case, if we disregard all of those votes, the total votes between the other two counties involved in the Highland School District and the other two wards or precincts within our county, the election still, or rather the public measure still would have passed.
Okay.
So that's where that comes from. Their votes absolutely did count. As soon as they go in that machine, in that tabulator, their votes are counted on election day.
So election integrity, you can sit here today and you can say that there was actual election integrity.
Yes. I mean, an error did happen. There's no disputing that. And it's an error that should not have happened, but it did. And we've done everything that we can according to code and under the advice of the Secretary of State to rectify it. Unfortunately, that doesn't allow us just to go and say, you know what, we need to have a special election to fix this. We did look into that, and it did have to go through this whole contest period where somebody had to contest it.
And it has to be, and that's a situation where unless someone in the public waves a flag,
right,
move along, there's nothing to see.
Right,
folks.
right.
Wow.
Now, had there been deemed, back to that word illegal activity, illegal voters, ineligible voters, that would have been a different story.
Okay.
But because they were all on the up and up, it's a different situation. Like I said, it's not the only one for it to happen. I think it probably happened at a greater scale because of us not being notified.
And then obviously it's one of those things, before I turned on the camera, I had said, I don't know why this became citizens versus Highland School District, because, the mistake or whatever was with the county or with the poll watchers. Explain why that is what it is.
I don't know all of the exact code on it, but I do know once we receive all those votes, they're all tallied, and the canvass is done, which is where we certify what those votes are. That's the totals. And that is one thing with the code. Once our supervisors and once everybody involved, we do the canvass of election. That's the official total of the votes. And from there, it goes to the whole trial contest proceedings to overturn.
So this will probably make a few people that are watching and listening make their ears perk a little bit when I ask this
Uh-oh.
next question. When the County Board of Supervisors of Washington County when the canvassing of the vote happened, and then they approved that, and somebody saying, "Hey, I don't want to approve this because there's something that was wrong." Would they, if they stopped that process, could they have stopped that process to go back and talk to somebody in the auditor's office?
The canvas is strictly them not validating, certifying that everything on the tally sheets is what is on the paperwork that we send to the state. So they're not saying that this is a valid election when I sign that canvas paper. They're saying that what they're signing that we send to the state matches what is on all of the, I'll call them receipt tapes from the machines, all of our election day tallies.
Okay.
We did have one supervisor not sign off on it because of that. But again, that process is not for the supervisors to validate the election.
Okay. I'm learning so much here. They don't necessarily.
And honestly, this has been a learning process for me too. So
I would say this isn't usually. This topic is not taught in depth in an American government class.
Definitely not. This whole contest part is not taught in depth in our election training because it's not something that generally happens and goes this far.
Well, you've been very gracious with your time. We are at 14 minutes and 40 seconds of podcast excellence right now. Is there something I should have asked you about this that you would like to get out there for the public so that they understand, or if they have any questions on it, you might be able to clear up for them?
I think the only thing I would like to say is just to reiterate that everybody in Ainsworth that voted at that precinct, their votes did count. No matter how they voted, we have no way of knowing those 96, which way it went, who they were. We can't go pull the first 96 ballots out of that tub and see what they were because they just don't fall in nice, neat stacks.
Okay.
But I just as far as election integrity, we do our best. We're following all the rules we can to correct the issue, and Iowa has some of the strictest laws on governing how elections work. So, unfortunate incident that happened, and I hope we don't see it happen again, but as you know, there's always something that's going to happen next. But
so, and maybe the lesson learned from this is the earlier things are reported, the quicker things can get fixed.
Most definitely. Had we known right away in the morning, and there's no blame to be given on nobody letting us know, because John Public would not know that walking in there that, hey, I should notify the auditor's office, this isn't correct. Had we known, like I said, this wouldn't be an issue.
I do imagine, though, the poll worker that first said there was nothing to see here probably felt a little upset at the end of the day. Probably. Yeah.
And that is who ended up alerting us, eventually was the poll workers that, hey, we do have an issue here. And again, I can't stress enough, I wish we knew earlier.
Yeah. Now, one more thing, it just came to my attention because I mentioned earlier about my son being a poll watcher. Is that something that Washington County usually has, is a couple representatives from both parties, or one representative from each party at different polling locations?
We don't see a lot of poll watchers. We did now at this presidential election just because of the grand scale of it. But in general, we usually don't unless there's a really heated race.
Okay. All right. Is it something, if someone would like to be, is that welcomed, or?
They can. There is a form. There's a process they have to go through to be approved. A form they have to fill out so everybody's aware who they are and what their purpose is of being at the polling site all day.
So do they get the form here at the courthouse?
They can get it here. They can get it on the Secretary of State's website also.
Okay, very good. Well, Tammy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you to Tammy for sitting down with me and explaining this. Hopefully it sheds some light on things for you, and especially if you're a voter in Washington County, but also for any voter. And it's important to pay attention and to know what's going on. And election integrity is the topic. Is it still there? Hopefully this helps make some folks feel better. I want to thank you for watching, and I need to thank my sponsors: Griner Auto Body, Car Doctor, McDonald Boneyard, Your Choice Family Restaurant, Girling Repair, B&B Propane, and the family of Jet Stops. Dutch Market, and Coffee Talk. I'm your host, John Bain. Stay friendly, Southeast Iowa.